Hello everyone. On this day we decided to come to a recreation of a Northwest Mounted Police barracks. This is located in Fort Macleod, Alberta, and it is known as the Fort Museum, which is a recreation of the original 1874 fort built by the Northwest Mounted Police, which was the predecessor to what became the RCMP, or Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The museum was opened in 1957 and includes a Northwest Mounted Police musical ride that occurs in the summer. The original fort that this museum is based on was closed in 1922. The Northwest Mounted Police were originally sent to this area of the prairie to stop the illegal liquor trade from the U.S., which was devastating the Blackfoot in the area, as well as other First Nations. They were also sent, of course, to establish Canada's sovereignty in what was then known as the Northwest Territories of Canada. At its peak, the fort held about 1,000 men in 1886. So it's a pretty good place to stop by. As you can see here, this is a museum. This is a quick depiction of what the officers' quarters would have looked like. You've seen some uniforms of the time. Here is some badges as well as appointment badges that the RCMP use. She's pointing out the K9 unit, the appointment badge that they'd have for that. And then outside of the museum is a recreation of the barracks itself. The area has two original buildings that we'll see eventually here. But for the time, it was pretty well set up. They had a meeting area for dining and banquets and music. They had, as you can see, a blacksmith shop, chapels, hospitals, stores, stocks, all the stuff they would need to get on by in the prairies at the time. The original fort that I mentioned that was set up in 1874 is not the last location. This museum represents their second location, which was recreated about 10 years after, and was, I believe the location of this museum represents a distance of about 3 kilometers of where the last fort was. And here you can see a chapel. So they pretty much set themselves up to have everything that you would need during the times. I heard that the original fort that I just mentioned was pretty dismal, though. They got there in October and they were racing pretty hard to get set up before the winter came, so there was no plank floors, there was no wooden roofs. Here's another view of the fort from above from one of the ramparts, showing the outside, the main street coming through the town there, Fort Macleod, the town. This is, I believe, one of the original buildings, and this is a trading post. And again, the outside of the grounds here. One of the things I really liked about this place, I've been to a few forts in my time, and this is the first time I've ever been able to walk along the walls like this. Usually this area is closed off. So it was nice, and it gave you a good perspective of what the fort was like, how it was constructed. It was just cool to walk on. There's another view there. So one of the mascots of the RCMP is their little goats here. And these little guys are pretty friendly.
Baby goat. Oh no, that's not for eating. No, 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 no. No, no, no. No. Baby goat. Scratch your ear.
And this this guy here. This is one of the other original buildings.
Are you good talking, American?
Yes, indeed, this is the right place. That is, if you want the law office of Frederick W.G. Haltane, newly arrived from Toronto in the spring of 1884. A graduate of Osgood Law School and the University of Toronto. Why, you ask, would a young up-and-comer such as I choose to come all the way out here to the barely settled Wild West to open his first law office? Well, there's the tale. You see, my brother Wilmot had been farming in Manitoba, building a rail line for the CPR, and had worked for the Geographical Survey of Canada. He would write me the most interesting letters of what was happening out here, and all the opportunities that were available. And then my good friend Chas McCall from Osgood Hall had already made his way here to Fort Macleod. There was nothing to it but I should follow them. And this Western Territory suits me quite fine, despite the wind and the cold winters. In addition to beginning my practice, which included issues such as illegal entry and smuggling from the U.S., gambling and the illegal liquor trade.
It should also be mentioned that he was the first premier of what was then the Northwest Territories in 1897. Depiction of a hospital ambulance. Again, I'm not sure if this is anything to do with the fort, but there it is. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for coming over.